Thank you, Brian. One thing about Brian, he sets a very good pick in basketball. I have been truly a very lucky person who has been truly blessed by God with the many opportunities he has given me. I thank my wife, Pat, for all her support and the many things she has done for me, with many lasagna and spaghetti dinners and so on for the cross-country team. Probably if Nikki and Todd hadn't gone out for cross-country, I wouldn't have probably even thought about coaching it. But once they were in it, I saw the advantages and started coaching it. I also want to thank all the ADs I've had and the assistant coaches for all the help they had, and also like to thank the head coaches that I worked under for letting me work with the runners, which I was able to. As Brian mentioned, I am a '63 grad of Sauk Center. I participated in baseball and basketball. Track, I ran 2 times. And I ran the mile. I think we were playing baseball at the time out at the fairgrounds, and there was a track meet going on. And unlike today, we just decided we could maybe run a little bit. So we ran around, and it was a half-mile track, that same thing that Lee was going around in his race cars. But so anyway, I only ran 2 days. I ran that meet in districts, and I guess I could say I won half the races I was in. I have a lot of great memories of our senior year. We had 10 seniors on that team, and we all got along so well, both on the court and off the court. Sports of all kinds have always been part of my life. I started playing fast-pitch softball in high school with Diamond Point. In fact, there was a field probably just south of here that we played our games on with Norby Triscoe as the pitcher. I also then played with Charlie Scafé a little bit after that. In the winter, I played basketball with a Sauk team in Alec and with Noah's Ark team in Sauk. In fact, I was going to play for Pearson Ford, but when I went to the game, they had already 10 or 11 players, and Tony only had like 5 or 6, so I just said, I'll play with them instead, and eventually we turned out to 4 or 5 years later to have the best team in the league. Also, we had a team of teachers, and we were in the league a few years, but then after a while, we were tired of all the complaining, so we just started having pickup games like every Wednesday night. I also reffed football with a group of teams in Sauk Center and volleyball with Ken Hansen. The best part besides the competition was the friendship of the teammates and, of course, the socializing after the games. When I first started coaching, I thought I'd only be at the junior high level, as I did not have a coaching certificate. But after 14 years of that, the state said that if you took a first aid course, they'd give you a coaching certificate. So I did that, and the following year, I coached the B team basketball team. And then the following year, because of budget cuts, Frank Walker-Lawrence lost his job, and I took over the head boys position, which I did for 5 years. 2 years later, I became the girls' head basketball coach, which I did for 11 years till my retirement from teaching. The boys won the conference once and the girls twice. It doesn't seem like such a big feat nowadays with the success the girls have had, but that was the first time that the girls had ever won a conference championship. 1983, Kevin Schumacher asked me to be the assistant cross-country coach, which I did for 5 years. And then when Kevin became the AD, I took over the head position, which I then did for 25 years. And Brian alluded to the success we had of taking some of the teams to the state. We also had 14 times a girl went individually and 11 times for the boys. Finally, I was a head track and field coach for 12 years, and I helped out 17 years from being a volunteer for 2-3 years to assistant junior high, assistant head coach for those 17 years. I was probably the only person that was hired 3 times to be the head track coach, as I resigned a couple of times in between. We had some exceptional mid-distance runners, especially between 2002 and 2011, when our 4x8 teams won the region 9 out of 10 years, and our 4x4 team went 6 straight years from 2005 to 2010, winning the state in 2008. Individually, you'll probably hear of Savannah later, but she finished second 3 times. And I look back, if you took what she lost by the 3 times and added the times together, it came to less than 1 second. She was that close 3 years in a row. Also, Elizabeth Hemsworth finished second the 400 one year. One thing I really enjoyed about coaching cross country and track is you usually many times have the athletes for 6 years, from 7th grade on up to the time they graduated. As with most coaches, I think the reason we coach is the athletes we come in contact with and to share a small part of their lives. In the 50 years of coaching, I've had the opportunity to meet so many young men and women. That alone made everything worthwhile. Also, I'd like to thank my family and friends for being here to share in this award. Thank you.
With us here is one of the Hall of Fame members, Tom Trutna. Truts, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mark.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Well, not too bad at my age, I guess.
How is your health anyway?
It could be better, could be worse.
Yeah,
so,
no, I see you out and about. Tell us what you're doing these days.
Right now, a lot of reading, staying inside, go to church in the mornings and do things, active in the church, I guess.
Good, very good. I see you have a lot of family here. Can you go through, as you look over there, who are some of the people here that are supporting you here tonight?
My daughter and Nikki and Todd, my son, my 2 sisters, one from Peoria, and my mother's here, and then a couple of Pat's sisters.
Okay. Tell us more about your kids and the grandkids.
Okay. Todd's a cross-country coach at Big Lake. In fact, his team won the Class 2A, or 3A, no, 2A. It went to 3 classes, but Big Lake won the boys' cross-country meet this year.
Oh, wow.
And then my daughter, Nikki, is still running like 10Ks and half marathons, and so she's been pretty active that way.
That's kind of in their blood, isn't it?
Yeah, once you get started, I know even like Marion Christian does ultra marathons and stuff yet out in Utah. So she's just someone just keep running.
Wow, I know. Yeah, you kind of wish we could still do it, huh?
Yeah, right.
But it's not in the cards these days. What about the grandkids?
Still got one in college. Todd's son, Matthew, runs for UMD. He's a distance runner there, and he had a very successful senior year this year. And that's my youngest grandson, so the rest of them are all working, so various jobs.
Wow. I guess we are getting older. I thought they were still in grade school or something. Wow. No. Okay. Well, let's talk about you as a Hall of Fame member. When athletic director Scott Bergman called you and talked to you to give you the news, what was your reaction to that?
I guess excited. Put a lot of years in, I guess, and I had to finally retire to get to qualify for the award, I guess.
How long have you been retired now?
2 years from coaching.
Okay.
But about 20 years from teaching.
All right. So just fill us in on some things that people may not know about you. What did you teach?
I was an elementary teacher. I came here in Sauk Center as a 6th grade teacher back in 70, I guess. And after maybe 15 years, they asked me if I wanted to go to 4th grade, and that's where I ended up for the next 20 years or so.
But you know, too, before you got into teaching and coaching, you're a Sauk Center athlete as well, right?
Right. We played on the 1963 state tournament team that finished 3rd. My sophomore year, I had a farm accident and I broke my pelvis, so I lucked out, though I got to be manager of the team that went to state that year. So I kind of went as a manager and a player 2 years later.
So have you always lived in Sauk Center then?
Pretty much so. First couple years, maybe my folks lived in West Union, so it's not too far away.
Okay. So then where did you go to college after high school?
I graduated from St. Cloud State in 68, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
I taught at Long Prairie for 2 years first before coming to Sauk Center, and then I got my master's also from St. Cloud State.
Can I ask you then, so you're here in Sauk Center at a young age, and then as you get older, what made you stay here in Sauk Center?
It's a good school system. And I bought a house at Sauk Center for my parents. When I was the last year at Long Prairie, I was traveling back and forth, and I was able to get a job the next year at Sauk, and everything worked out well.
So then as a coach then for Sauk Center, I was talking to Brian Olson this afternoon, and he was adding up some numbers. Can you tell us how many years have you coached?
It's been about 50 years.
Yeah, and he was saying, too, he was adding up. Of course, he's a math teacher.
Yeah.
And so he says, how many seasons? Do you know how many seasons you've coached?
Not really. I haven't.
He said 96.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. Let's not go through them all. But
No.
what are some of the teams or the sports that you did coach?
Cross country I did for 5 years as an assistant and 25 years as a head. Boys basketball 5 years and girls 11. I did junior high sports for like 14 years before I got a coaching certificate. So did elementary basketball and junior high and baseball. I was an interim baseball coach for 1 year when the coach resigned because of personal reasons, and I finished out the season as a head baseball coach. But that was probably the shortest thing I ever did. Then track and field.
Yeah.
Actually been hired 3 different times. I went like 4 or 5 years, and then I would resign and volunteer or do something else in the track thing. And but I think I had 12 years as a head and 17 volunteering or assistant junior high up to assistant varsity coach.
So with that many teams, sports, and all the years, what kept you going with that? Why didn't, some year you just go, that's enough?
The kids, I guess. Cross country especially, you're with the kids from 7th grade on to usually till they graduate, so you really get to know them. And I know there were a couple, I was a cross country coach and then wasn't track coach, but a couple of the kids asked me if I'd coach their distance races and track, so I volunteered and stayed with it.
I'll say this. I want you to describe yourself, if you can, your style of coaching. And let me go first, though. I've known you for a long time, and to me, your demeanor overall, you're not a yeller and a screamer at people, right?
No, I'm not.
No, that's not the way. You are a teacher, correct?
Yeah, that's, I think being coaching elementary basketball for many years and junior high, you kind of adapt that to your teaching philosophy or coaching philosophy once you get to this varsity level.
Do you find that the athletes respond to that in a different way or even a better way?
I think it's just my way, I guess. I remember once I think it was boys basketball team, it was practice time and things are really going terrible, and And I kind of just said, what the hell is going on here? And you should have seen the reaction of the kids. They couldn't believe what was happening.
Did you hear what Coach Trutna said? No, I could see that. Well, I don't want to keep you away from all your families here, but congratulations, and it's great to see you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, thank you.